Secretary of State for Environment and Sustainable Development between 2003 and 2008. Looking back from that time to now, how would you describe the most significant changes in our planet's environmental health?
Well, the planet, as we know, is now under big threat of many fronts from an environmental point of view. First, we have pollution of water. Oceans are very polluted with plastic. Forests are being cut all over the world. And climate is changing rapidly. So we need to change radically the way we produce goods and the way we consume goods. So that is a big challenge ahead of us.
Should we be scared that this planet not going to look like the same in 10 years? Because we have kids and it looks like the global warming, it's a really big problem now. And I just would like to ask you actually so as a Director General of the Amazonas Sustainability Foundation, how are you viewing the current trajectory of U.S. environmental strategy under the Trump administration, especially in terms of a global impact and sustainability efforts?
Well, I think the U.S. plays a very important role in the world as the largest economy, and it's very important to see beyond partisan politics. I see a lot of engagement of business in the U.S., of civil society organizations that overcome the changes in politics that we see every 4 years. So I'm very hopeful that business and philanthropy and science is going to step up, and so that the effects of partisan politics doesn't change the course of decarbonizing the economy so as to mitigate climate change, and also for adaptation, because hurricanes are becoming more frequent in this country, they're becoming more extreme, so it affects everybody. There is no room to deny climate change. I think the challenge is how to make climate change a challenge that generates jobs and well-being to people. How that can be turned into a positive agenda, and I think that's the biggest challenge that is ahead of all of us.
What policies or international collaboration do you believe are most urgently needed right now to mitigate the effects of climate change, especially in rainforest region like the Amazons?
I think it's to take care of forests, and actually our approach is to take care of people that take care of the rainforest, because a rainforest like the Amazon or in the Congo Basin or in Southeast Asia is not only trees, animals, and plants in general. It has always a human dimension, and oftentimes these places are very poor. So I think we have to address the human dimension to deliver what we call nature-based solutions. And what are these nature-based solutions? One is to stop deforestation and stop forest fires, because a big problem now are forest fires, and also to plant trees, because there are a lot of degraded areas throughout the world, and including the Amazon, that can be restored. And restoration is labor intensive, so that can generate jobs as well. And trees also produce many goods that can generate jobs to manufacture those products. So I see a lot of potential gains from nature-based solutions that are grounded on a people-centered approach.
That's a good news, but I would like to ask you about that. How can we actually, as an expert of the Amazon, how can we replace? So you mentioned the fires, you mentioned that, destroy. How can we replace, you said that replant. How many years it takes to heal?
Well, we are in a climate emergency, so we have to do, as the UN Secretary General reminds us, everything at the same time all over the place. So reducing deforestation is one thing, but at the same time we plant trees. And trees in the tropics grow very fast. A tree can grow up to 5 meters in 1 year. So they grow fast, faster than in temperate areas. And that's the advantage of having solutions coming from the global south, where in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, a lot of tree planting can take place. But it has to be also combined with protection of the existing natural ecosystems. And not only forests, also savannas play an important role. So it's to take care of nature is, I think, the general message. We need to be more gentle with planet Earth.
So the experts of all over the world who are working on their own environment, are they working together to save a planet in this way? So do you have a concept, a general concept, how to replant those forests what we lost in the last few decades?
I think there is a growing understanding that we have to tackle this through alliances, through partnerships. So I think it's very important that everybody engages. Those who are listening to this program look in their own livelihoods and see how they can be greener, how they can use more electric cars, how they can use more bikes, how they can buy products that are recyclable. There are many different things that can be done at the individual level, at the family level, at the community level, at the city level. So we have to engage everyone in this challenge. It's not something that we should leave for governments. Because I was, as you mentioned, State Secretary for Environment and Sustainable Development of the Amazon, and it's too much of a responsibility to give only this challenge to governments. We have to engage the private sector, the individuals, everybody on this. Governments are slow, are bureaucratic. They can get things done which are important, especially the framework, the legal framework. That's the role of the state. But in order to do practical things, I think it's up for civil society organizations and for business guided by science.
Since we start with the youngest generation in the educational system, maybe, do Brazil has a strategy for that to basically build this and plant this idea in the schools and in the educational system?
Yeah, Brazil is doing a lot. Brazilians are very connected to nature. In general, that's a message that oftentimes doesn't come across to the international agenda, because oftentimes the international media gives more attention to the headlines of a certain destruction or a certain event that is negative. But the fact is that Brazilians love forests and have a great interest. Brazil has a very strong legislation to protect forests, in many regards more rigorous than most industrialized countries. But there's a lot to be done. Having said this, there's a lot to be done, especially in environmental education, in schools, in public schools, private schools, and society at large.
And I'm happy you mentioned that we all should take care of this on an individual level. So my perspective is that someone concerned about the future of this planet, I decided that after I pass away, I want to become a tree. You know, there are this new opportunities all over the world. I think they started in Scandinavia. And I just really like the idea, and it's a symbolic way for me to giving back something for the planet, and it's also thinking of the next generation. And I'm curious, as you are an expert, that do you believe it would be a global policy promoting a tree-based burial or ecological transformation after death could have a measurable impact on the environment?
Yes, very much so. I think having tree barriers make a lot of sense in many areas, especially in areas which are threatened by desertification. And the sub-Saharan Africa is a region which is very stressed by climate change, and that is driving migration. So when we see the problems of migration, say in Europe, and we analyze the root causes of this, they have to do with climate change to a certain extent. Even the conflicts, the wars, they are now connected to climate change. So addressing climate change in the countries where they're most vulnerable is a very smart strategy to tackle the problem of migration. So instead of just working in the border to build walls, I think the most important thing is to go to the countries where migrants are coming from and work with those countries solutions that can generate jobs and also mitigate climate change at the same time.
And the final question. So finally, at this year's Milken Global Conference, what message are you hoping to share with internationally stakeholders about the urgency and hope within the climate moment?
COP30 is going to take place in the Brazilian city of Belém, which is at the mouth of the Amazon. It's a beautiful city. And the focus of climate COP this year is going to be on action, not so much on the negotiations of diplomats, although that's also important. But more important is to mobilize funds. We need to have more investment in green economy, and we have to have more action on nature-based solutions. I think these are going to be sort of the main topics of the COP, and nature-based solutions with a focus on poverty. That's why I've been stressing that it's important to take care of people that take care of the rainforest. And that's the sort of the social approach to deliver these solutions, be those tree planting or conservation or protection from wildfires. All of these things, they have to engage the local communities. They have to feel that this is something in their interest. It's not in the interest of other players around the world, but it's in their interest, and that's doable. And the good news is that there are many positive things happening in the Amazon and in other tropical rainforests that just need to be scaled up. That's a current challenge.
And finally, one more question. What would be your message for the parents of the next generation?
The parents. If you want a future for your children and your grandchildren that is more likely to be happy, I think it's essential to start changing now, changing the way you purchase goods, the way you live. So be green as much as possible, as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you so much.